Hey everybody, just wanted to give you a little bit of a COVID update from the hospitals and from my personal experience, unfortunately. Um, the last time I was at the hospital was probably, now I can't even remember, the last week in July, I believe. ICUs were maxed out and we were having to divert patients that were coming in really, really sick, which is hard to do when all the hospitals are doing that. So that's kind of a mess. As far as COVID on the units, we did have enough beds there. We're seeing a lot younger patients with a lot more severe problems. It's pretty scary. A lot of strokes, a lot of seizures, a lot of just sudden cardiac events. So that's kind of a not fun anyways. I think I worked a couple Saturdays ago and I felt really fatigued, really run down. I just thought it was from working night shift. But when I left that Monday morning, I'd say it was a week ago from this past Monday, I definitely knew something was wrong by the time I got home. It came on that quickly. Like it just went from fatigue. I passed the tests that they give us at work, just, how are you feeling? Do you have a fever? Which I didn't. And then I came home, walked up the steps to my loft and it was unbelievable. But even still, I was like, well, I was supposed to work. I picked up an extra shift that Monday night. So I was like, well, let me just go to sleep. I'm sure I'll feel much better when I wake up. And I think I got up like a couple hours later and I was like, oh, no, yeah. Took my temperature, had a fever, did the hospital I work at has like a little symptom checker. Did that and then called the number and went and got tested. By the time I went to go get tested later that day through my hospital, my temperature was 101, 102, and I just felt terrible. So I just came home, drank a bunch of fluids, and pretty much went right to bed. So the tricky thing with COVID is that usually if you have a fever, you can just let it run its course, get plenty of rest, drink a lot of fluids, and you're good to go. The problem with COVID is that natural process that your body does is in the end causing harm. It's causing too much inflammation. And so we're doing things in the hospital like round-the-clock Tylenol, around-the-clock steroids, plus the medications for COVID, which we're using primarily remdesivir if the patient qualifies for that, and then zinc. And so you can't, or it's unadvisable, I guess, to just let it run its course, which I did the first 2 nights, I believe, and it was awful. Like I've never had a fever with pain before. Like I'd never experienced that. And this fever had so much pain, I can't even describe it. It wasn't like a sharp shooting pain. It wasn't, I don't know how to describe it other than it was like I couldn't sleep. It was severe. And it was definitely like a massive headache and stiff neck and could barely walk, just so weak and so achy. I took Advil because that's what I have in my house, and that seemed to help a little bit. And then I got my call on Wednesday for my lab results from the nurse, and it was positive. And then she asked me, what I was taking and suggested Tylenol. So we did a grocery order from Kroger to be delivered and got some Tylenol, and I took that Wednesday night when I started having a fever, and that didn't do anything. Like it felt like it made it worse even. So then I didn't take anything more. And it's just been like this game. I don't know. Every single night it's been a fever. Now I'm on day 10, and again a fever last night even. And I've been able to take less and less. So for a while there, it got so bad. It was like the fevers were 101, 102. They would not break no matter what. I was putting ice around myself, which, that's not a super dangerous level for a fever, but just having that, for every single day, it really starts to get on your nerves a little bit. Yeah, and you can't sleep. That's the worst part, is not being able to sleep. I've also had a rash on my legs. I've had nausea, definitely the fatigue and the muscle aches. Trying to think. As far as the breathing goes, I've had a little bit of a cough, but nothing major. I've been doing a lot of deep breathing exercises prior to even getting COVID, but really once I got diagnosed, I was definitely doing deep breathing exercises, and that's just really it, just taking deep breaths, and then sleeping on my stomach, which I do pretty much anyways, so that's easy for me. And then I'm lucky where I work, I have a case manager that checks in. I don't get to go back to work when I decide I feel better, so I have to be cleared by occupational injury management team. So they have been calling me 3 times a week. Immediately I was out of work for 2 weeks automatically, regardless of how I feel. And then you have to be 24 to 48 hours without symptoms or without fever, and improvement in other symptoms without taking anything. And then the other thing that was kind of interesting is the epidemiologist called, and they're trying to do their own contact tracing, trying to figure out who I might have exposed, who I've been exposed to, especially because I've been working on the COVID unit and we've had very little outbreaks there. So they want to make sure that it wasn't something that happened there. Pretty much we have to follow the rules and wear a mask all the time, and there hasn't been too many opportunities for exposure there, I don't think, other than when we take our lunch break in the break room. Then there's maximum 2 people, and we are without masks, but we are 6 feet away from each other, so that's a possibility. But they're really trying to figure out where that link is. Right here in the building I live in, there's been several cases of COVID in the building. There's, a request for people to wear masks in the hallways, but for the most part, I don't really see people doing that. So that's another huge possibility, is that I just got it from my building. So doesn't really matter, I think it matters, for looking at potential outcomes for other people. But I think one thing that we have to not do, I see this on Facebook a lot, is criminalizing people that are not wearing masks. And then, I see some of my friends saying, oh, I probably got it from this person, and yada, yada, yada. That just doesn't help. We can't do that, I think at work, I told everybody that I came in contact with. I gave my boss permission to tell everybody. I gave the epidemiologist to, it's a HIPAA violation, so they technically can't really say anything, but I wanted to make sure that they knew that I'm not embarrassed, I'm not embarrassed that I got COVID. It sucks. It's the worst sickness that I've had ever. So, but I think that it's important that we have compassion towards everybody about this, this is scary no matter what you believe. And I just I'm proud of where I work and how much they're doing to try to prevent this from getting worse. We pegged down everybody that I came in contact with. I text messaged all the nurses that I had their personal phone numbers to and let them know, and they've all been very supportive and checking in on me every day. So that's been awesome. But just wear a mask and wash your hands and stay safe. If you do get it, try to take some deep breaths, drink a ton of fluids. Listen to your body. It'll tell you what you need. But also, if you have a doctor, I would definitely stay in contact with them just to make sure that you're up to date on the latest treatments for supportive therapies for COVID. So have a great day.